Yo, what up? What up? It's your boy Jonathan Whitfield. As you can see, I'm in my Afrocentric regalia. Just got back from watching Black Panther, the highly anticipated black superhero film by Marvel Studios. So we're gonna get right into it, man. You know, it's gonna be a review. This is a review. There will be spoilers. If you haven't seen it yet, you should have been seen it by now. You know, I can say that now. I was waiting. Anyway, uh, first off, it was a very great movie. Very great movie. I recommend everybody go and see it. Excuse me. Um, the outfits were amazing. The music was made amazing. Um, the attention to detail. Marvel they really were sensitive about how they approached this film, being that it's Afrocentric and it's focusing on Black people, African people throughout the diaspora, and for some things in Africa. It's important that they did this right because all too often with big budget films that depicts Africa, it's always sad, depleted, depressed. Everybody living in huts, and it's whitewashed. Well, anything with significance is whitewashed, especially Egypt. You know, and this was the first time that we got a film of this caliber, and it's not whitewashed. You know, and it's you see black people in their fullest, even if it's fictional, because we have so many fictional films of whiteness where it's great. You know, we don't have that many films about Africa that's great. You know, so we can appreciate this, and they did a good job with this. I can appreciate that. You know, because it's time. You know, so I'm just touching on a few things. You know, there's a big argument about was this a black film. I would say yes and no. No, because it's Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios is not a black company. You know, it's Hollywood is white, whatever. And yes, because you know they focus on blackness. You know, focus on Africa. They had a black director, all black cast, and whether it is a totally black film, the maybe the oversight was given to black people. You know, Marvel had the pockets to really push this movie forward. But it is a black film, so to speak. You know, and it did its due justice. You know, so I'm just leave that alone. We know there's arguments out there. Well, I would say this. There's another argument out there where it says that about the Nat Turner thing. You know, people didn't really go out to see Nat Turner because it was black owned, black operated, you know, black produced, and people didn't support. People actually protesting the film because the director, you know, he was in some sexual trouble back in the day with some women. You know, I do think that's unfortunate. I can't excuse me stuttering. I can't agree with some people say, yo, we tired of seeing slave movies, and that's true because I'm tired of seeing slave movies. You know, I'm tired of seeing us beat down, whipped, you know, and broken. You know, although that Turner Birth of a Nation was about revolution, and I could tie that into Black Panther's character Killmonger. He was about revolution. You know, so it is a tie there, and I am noticing anytime a black character, a black person starts to talk about revolution, you know, it gets a little shaky. It gets a little shaky, but I can see why people are tired of it. I'm tired of it, but I do think that people should have supported Birth of a Nation because it was black. It was black owned, black produced, and it was even though it was a slave movie, it was a slave movie was coming out on top of Nat Turner's Revolution was one of the movies or one of the few times in history that the black people revolted and did something for themselves, you know, and they would have wanted to see it. But with Black Panther, this was one of the first times in history where we were not slaves, you know, we were just beautiful black people, you know, just as Superman, Captain America, the Avengers, you know, beautiful black people with power, you know, in a real storyline. I mean, fictional characters, but with realness, you know, and so Black Panther is a breath of fresh air, you know. It was. It's a breath of fresh air. We tired of seeing that. I mean, you know, we deserve a superhero, you know. And I would say this: we do have, you know, we have black comic writers, you know, out there that create black superhero, and their storylines are great. They don't get the attention that you know they should get, but you know, just say if a company like Marvel were to take one of these black writers and produce their movie, it would do the same thing Black Panther does. I guarantee you that. 'Cause I research stuff and I always watch out for my people and see what they're doing. Because don't let the world fool you there. We got comics out there, not comedians like black comic writers that's producing on a lower level great content, great storylines. But nevertheless, this was the first time that on this level, big box office and a big company like that produced such a great film. You know, so I want to touch on the Killmonger versus T'Challa's character. A lot of people compare them to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. If you don't know, T'Challa, I think I'm saying his name right. That's the main character, Black Panther. He was trying to protect Wakanda. You know, the city of Wakanda was the most advanced city in the world. You know, technology, medicine, you name it. What's the dude name? Killmonger. You know, he was raised in the United States in Oakland, and he's from Wakanda, but he got separated. You know, during his youth. So he has a different lived experience. You know, that's another message. A different lived experience. It's a message in that. You know, so we know that when slaves of Africans were brought to America as slaves, you know, after generations, you had black Africans that were born in America, and they were kind of Americanized. But then you will also have some Africans captured from Africa and brought over here. Even though they're both black people, they have two different experiences. You know what I'm saying? So one is the African experience, one is a black African American experience, and you kind of butt heads a little bit. You know. So anyway, long story short, Killmonger. He grew up rough in the hood. You know the story, and but he understands revolution. He understands not just revolution just to kill people. He understands building the black nation, wanting to see black people rise and have their own, not have to depend on nobody. This was Killmonger's. This was his whole narrative. T'Challa, Black Panther, his whole narrative was, yeah, that's cool. We about that too, but we're a little more diplomatic. You know, we're only gonna stay on this side, and if we do help people, we're gonna just help everybody. We're gonna show the world what we can do. You know, he was very, very Martin Luther Kingish, even though Martin Luther King still was for black people. Don't get it twisted. They both were for black people, just different ideologies and different approaches. But Killmonger was more of a revolutionary, and he was saying some real stuff in that movie. You know, he was dropping a lot of gems, and I'm surprised they got it in there. You know, he was dropping a lot of gems that we can definitely relate to. I would say this. I would say the way they portrayed him, they portrayed him as a bad guy. You know, the way he was going about it, violently, and the other cat was going about it kind of like non-violently, unless we have to. That was Black Panther's narrative. And T'Challa, he was going about it violently. He didn't care who stood in the way of the progression of black people. They would get, even if they were black. You know, he was a little rough around the edges, but he was rough around the edges, but he came up rough. It's like a Tupac-ish. You know, Tupac, he was raised by the Black Panther. His mother was a Black Panther. Tupac did. His mother was a Black Panther. So even though he understood revolution, he grew up in the hood, grew up in the street. He was educated at the same time and very intelligent. So even though he went about things the wrong way, his narrative of seeing black people succeed and have their own always stayed the same. No matter if he was a gangster, his heart was still for black people trying to get it right. He was just going about it the wrong way. You know, the same thing with Killmonger. So I thought that was very important. That stood out. And one funny thing that stood out to me at the beginning of the movie, well, close to the beginning. Well, let's talk about the women in the movie. The women in the movie were very beautiful. Black chocolate sisters, strong, you know, intelligent, and they were equal to men, black men. Just like in our traditional indigenous African culture, it's like that. You know, even though they have quote unquote lesser roles, the roles are not lesser. It's just different. You know, it's different. It's like these women in the movie, they were strong and equal to men. They did what they had to do. They was fighters. They were warriors. But I forgot the name, but there is in African culture. There was an army full of women. There was an army full of women. They fought off white supremacy. I forgot the name of them. Forgive me. but it's documented in history. So black women always been with it, But I thought it was interesting that they did that, and that's how it should be. But what was more interesting was that even though they were equal to men, they still didn't lose the traditional roles of a woman, right? Of what a woman quote unquote should do. Like they were still the healers, they were still the nurturers, they still birthed, they still took care of their children, you know. And they didn't lose that essence of what a woman should be, and the men didn't lose the essence of what men should be, quote unquote gender roles. They both were able to maintain those gender roles and be strong and equal at the same time. That's the dynamic I wish everybody could see, because it was so beautiful. Maintaining those gender roles and not saying, oh, you this and you that, you should do this, you do that. Because in America, we do gender roles a little too harsh. Or like you just say men submit to women. I mean, women to submit to your man, this and that. And women take that as insult. And this movie portrayed it very beautifully, because both the man and the woman were strong in their own right. You know, they held their own down. And it wasn't even a struggle to show the other. It was just understood, like, yo, you are equal, I'm equal, you are strong, I'm strong. It was only a matter of, are we compatible? It was only a matter of that. And once you take out the other things, I thought they were beautiful black relationships. It's beautiful, man. I know it's this too. There was no sex scenes in the movie. No sex scenes. And usually we have movies like this, you always gotta be a sex scene. People, doing this and doing that. It was able to show the beauty, because we live in a sexual society. We were able to show the beauty of the black woman and she not be overly sexualized. So I admire these women. You admire these women for their beauty. Yes, physical beauty and inner beauty and their intelligence. And I don't remember even thinking about like anything sexual. They were beautiful. Don't get me wrong, like sex. But it was a different type. It's almost like when you see women from the Nation of Islam, how they be covered. They still sexy to me. But they fully covered. And you don't. It's I don't know how to explain it, but that's how it was. But I appreciated that. And they also seen it showed black men in a different light, in a different strong, intelligent role, kings, queens, and it reminded them of themselves. And some of the messages in the movie, I ain't get too deep in this, were all reminding black people that they are kings. They come from something great. Value their heritage. Value Africa. I love that. It was sentimental messages all throughout the movie. And I think this is why the movie is important for the culture, even though this is not a black movie, because it's pumped throughout the world as a major motion film. You got little black boys and little black girls seeing this and realizing, I think my thing about the dead, and realizing that they are beautiful, right? Realizing that they can do these things, and they're just beautiful, So that's important. So I even see images on the internet of little black kids, saying, "Oh, this is me, this is me, this is me." And it's important for little black girls too to see themselves powerful without having to use their sexual powers to be powerful. It was about love. It was about being strong. It was about being intelligent. I thought that was beautiful. Some other symbolism in the movie I saw. This is what I said about women. Close to the beginning, when I forgot their name, but the two top general women had to go with Black Panther to find one of the white dudes or whatever to take them out. They had to dress up, and one of the ladies, she had to put a weave in, because she used bald headed, sexy bald headed, you know what I'm saying? And she put a weave in. It looked good. But she said, this is hideous. She just downplayed it. She talked so much junk about that weave she put in. It was put together. And I loved that, because it was just like, she wanted to love her natural self. And she came from Africa. I think they went to America, or they might have went to South Korea. I think it was South Korea they went to. But anyway, it was westernized a little bit. She hated that weave, and I thought that was wonderful. Right? I mean, you wear weave. I can't stand weave, but it is what it is. But the point of it was, I love my natural self. I don't need this. This is hideous. You know, I like how they threw that in there. But everything about this film was just just pumping blackness and black beauty. You know, um, so that I thought that was amazing. Another thing that stuck out was yeah, the African versus African American. I seen that on the internet lately. Um, I didn't really see the African versus African American thing. To me, it really didn't stick out. It was more so. I guess so, but it was more so revolutionary that stuck out to me. More so like woke, unwoke. That's not a word, but Killmonger, he was the revolutionary in the film, and like I said earlier, they were portraying him as the bad guy. He was the bad guy, but he really, to me, he really was the hero because he was trying to create a global black society, right? Because not just for the sake of having a global black society or black supremacy, but because black people throughout the world, throughout the diaspora, have been oppressed and continually was being oppressed, you know, and he understood. He carried the burden of seeing his ancestors. I'm talking about ancestors of having them taken from Africa throughout time and being oppressed generation after generation. He carried that burden with him, that anger that a lot of us carry. You know, he wanted to do something about it. So he like, I'm from a royal family. I'm a king. I'm from the royal bloodline. We have these technology to help our people. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna get this stuff. We're gonna help our people. Similar to the spook who sat by the door. See, Killmonger, he worked for like CIA and all these military things, so he had the knowledge. So he was like, we're gonna use their knowledge against them. He's like, I understand my oppressor. I understand, and that was very important too. You gotta understand your enemy. One of the 48 laws of power. You know, I'm surprised they let that in there. So you gotta understand your enemy in order to defeat them. So he like, I know how they think because white supremacy. They study us. They know how to defeat us. You know, conquer and divide. They know the things that we like. They know what we don't like. So they know how to move it around. So I thought that was very important. So he was one of the first people who had the power and knowledge to lead a movement, to galvanize. You feel me? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm going? See why he was the enemy? He had the power to galvanize. And he was doing that. He had a leader like Spook who sat by the door. I don't know if y'all seen that movie, but it's a movie made in like the 70s or something like that. Dude worked for CIA, black dude. And he got the knowledge of CIA. So he would use the knowledge he had to teach his people how to take back the community, you know, overthrow the government, pretty much. But that's very interesting. It's very interesting that, I was losing my thought that he was doing that, you know, but he had the knowledge. So going back to trying to kill off black leaders, you know, black leaders who taught the revolutionary talk. Man, I got my computer might die. You know, my computer died. But anyway, so he had the knowledge to talk that revolutionary talk and lead, right? So all throughout history, when we had a revolutionary black man like that, y'all would take him out. Fred Hampton, Malcolm X, even Martin Luther King at a certain point. And there were other leaders. Any black leader that really taught that black empowerment as a whole had the ability to wake up other black people with a threat. You know, well, I would say this, you know, in the storyline, people were kind of, they wasn't not, I mean, they was for that. They were just more diplomatic about it, like Martin Luther King, right? They didn't want their technology to fall in the wrong hands. You know, that was them turning a little thing straight, whatever, into the wrong hands or whatever, and that's cool. And Killmonger, he was a little radical about it. He was radical. And that's just where you put it. You know, he was rough around the edges. However, he was spitting gems. You know, we all seen his famous quote. You know, about to kill him. He like, don't kill me. If you kill me, throw me in the ocean. And my ancestors jumped over the slave ships into the ocean because they knew death was better than bondage. And that's a strong, if I give a little thing, right? That's a strong line because I didn't quote it correctly, but it was something like that. Because in African culture, many African cultures, the theme of death before dishonor is very serious, right? Because Africans are very spiritual people. African people believe in the afterlife. And many of them would rather die to go ahead and be with God, and be with the ancestors, be with the spirit, than live a life in bondage. So many Africans jump over the slave ship into the water, and they believe they were going straight to their God, straight to be with their ancestors. This is very common throughout African spirituality, African religion, African cultures, and you need to study that because this spirituality, rituals and spirituality. Because I'm a minister, so let's go ahead and get into it. It was very beautiful how they portrayed rituals, in ancestor time. Because in our African culture, we honor our ancestors. It's not nothing spooky. In America, we talk this stuff is spooky, it's gibberish, it's pagan. It's not. We don't know. Many of us African Americans don't know that this is how we connect with the spirit. This is how we connect with the spirit, connect with our people. This is how we heal ourselves. We get wisdom from ancestors. We honor our ancestors. Sankofa. Looking back so you can go forward, and taking back so you can go forward. Doing libations, honor your ancestors. We always honor our elders, those who came before us. And this ancestor thing is big in African culture. In African American, we got to start realizing that. They teach us not to. This stuff is spooky dooky. It's not. And they always gave honor to the ancestors, honor to those who came before them. Because we got to understand where you come from. This is why we don't like to honor our ancestors here in America, because we taught everything African is bad. Once it's gone, it's gone. That's a white understanding. That's not black understanding. So I appreciate that. And rituals, how they were, they would drink different drinks. They had to go under the sand to reach a certain level, to conjure up a certain spirit. That's very important because also, once again, they teach us everything African spirituality is pagan, is voodoo, and there's nothing wrong with voodoo. It's bad. And we just do these things all the time. It's no different. It's no different from when we in church, jumping around, shouting out, and jumping out the walls, hanging from the ceiling fans of the church, and catching the Holy Spirit. It's no different than catching the Holy Spirit, or being in the Spirit, or speaking in tongues. It's no different. But it teaches that it is different, and we think it's different because we don't know. But I like how they put that in the movie because it portrayed. See, in the other movies, you'll see African doing African rituals, and they looking crazy, eyes falling in the back of their head. They might be drinking blood or something. They make it look very barbaric and very inhumane, and it's not inhumane. It's not barbaric, but that's how they portrayed it in other movies, big budget movies. So even if it isn't a big budget movie, you look at it like, oh, I want no part of Africa. That ain't me. That's stupid. That's crazy. But this one, they showed the beauty of ritual, the beauty of healing ourselves, the beauty of we doing for us and healing ourselves and taking our spiritual customs to get the answers and not looking to whiteness or white spirituality to get the answers. And that's beautiful, man. But I like how they paid homage to it, and I thought, like I said, I thought it was very beautiful. Personally, I was a little let down by the storyline towards the end. I felt like it could have been. I felt like it could have been more. I wanted to see a little more of the revolutionary side. I did. I wanted to see a little more of that because I want to see a little more of the Black Americans or wherever they were in the world kind of rising up, and getting the knowledge. See, because toward the end of the movie, it put a very diplomatic, we're going to heal the world. Wakanda's going to heal the world. And I thought that was beautiful too now, don't get me wrong. Because Africa does, you said Africa's going to heal the world. Africa's already healing the world. They stealing everything and healing the world. They just didn't give them knowledge. But anyway, I like that and I didn't like it. I like it because, yeah, it started to show the world that the beauty comes out of Africa. Right? But I didn't like it because it's like it kind of goes against a little bit. It kind of goes against the revolutionary side of it. It's like it's not gonna necessarily empower black people, but it is. You know, you feel what I'm saying? It's it more so empowers everybody, and by empowering everybody, you just take what you can get from, you go back to your culture, you know, that type of way. It's like a river. Everybody just drink from the river, you're here, so to speak. But I did like it because, you know, they chose to start in the hood first. I liked it. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta reach back. This is Wakanda, that is. They trying to take their understand their thoughts, their medicines, you know, and just heal. You know, but all in all, it was a good movie. So the story kind of let me down. Like I said, I want to see a little more. I want to see a little more, just a little more. Something about it ain't sit right, but I think it's a wonderful film, and I appreciate it. I don't want us to get too hung up on it and become a little less complacent. Just it's just a movie. Let's not get complacent. There's still stuff going on out here. We want more of stuff like this, and more of these stories. And I heard the director would think about doing a movie about Mansa Musa, you know, the richest man in history from Africa. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. He can get the same budget to produce that. Hey, it's going down. But it's a good movie. I recommend everybody go and see it. It's good for um, the culture. It's good for the people. It's good for the children. It's good for white people. They need to see black people looking their best without them lording over us and telling us what to do. You know, all the time. You tired of this? You know what I'm saying? Tired of that, man. So it's beautiful. Y'all go see it, support it, give it great reviews, and take your kids to go see it because they need to see some black people. I'm tired of going to black people's house see Superman hanging on the wall. You be your own Superman. But it is what it is. So y'all hold down.